All right, everyone, welcome to another exclusive ChampionsWay webinar. Today we will be covering how to save $300 a month approximately on your bookkeeping. So before I begin, I just want to say that bookkeeping is typically something that most schools are faced with. We recognize that it is a function of our business, however, it is not something that helps us grow our business. So typically the best thing we can do is either look to eliminate it or alleviate as much of it as we can. It is a function we need to do, but it's something that we can't allow to get in the way of other business functions. So let's start. What is the typical story of bookkeeping in a small business? Well, usually they start by having the accountant handle everything. Why? It's not their job. It's not their expertise. So I'm going to work with an accountant. He's got a nice shiny smile because I'm going to hand him my money to do my bookkeeping for me. And when I say bookkeeping, I don't mean just the accounting aspect. I mean also the bookkeeping, the ledger, the editing, everything. So they're handling both bookkeeping and accounting, and they're being paid handsomely for it. So what happens next? It might be a month after, it might be a year after, I'm not sure how long it takes, but at one point or another, everybody, and I put in italics, they get that bill. They get that bill from your accountant that makes you reconsider, why would I do this with my accountant? There's got to be a better way to do this. So that's when we get up on the stand and we take the oath. We buy an accounting software program and we make a promise to ourselves. I hereby swear that I will use this accounting software. I will learn how to use it. I will make sure I enter everything in it. It will be the way that I manage the bookkeeping and the accounting for my business, and I will no longer pay an accountant. Yeah, right. Next, what happens is we get frustrated with that program. We ask maybe someone else to take over that task, maybe our spouse, heaven forbid, or a business partner, or we delegate to a staff member like a manager or a program director that we trust with the task. Or we might go back to the accountant and do it. Either way, we are pretty much pulling out our hair and we're saying, you do it. Next, we go back and forth between those processes. And I got a little flow chart here. We delegate the in-house bookkeeping. We go back to having an accountant doing it. We try to take it on ourselves. We delegate. We have an accountant. And it just keeps going back and forth and back and forth. That's typically the case. So I must say, what is the cost of this process of going back and forth and back and forth? Well, if you're paying someone to do your bookkeeping, on average, ask yourself this. What do I pay to have my bookkeeping performed for me each month? Right? If it were possible, are there any other things that money could be put towards? I mean, just think about that for a second. Could it be a lease on an after-school van that we can deck out with really cool signage for our school? I mean, you could just park that van on the side of the road and it can act as a billboard for you. That'd be a better use of your money? Is there a student right now in your school that if you were just to pay them part-time on a performance basis, that could contribute to the growth of your business and create a better community around your school? There has got to be some better things we could dedicate those funds towards. So, ask yourself that. Now, if you're the do-it-yourself type, I do take my hat off to you. That's fantastic. But I need to ask you, how many hours does it take you to do this each month? Okay? And a lot of people say, oh, it's only a couple hours. You know, that's all right. But I got to ask you, what is the cost of your time, right? An easy way to calculate this is right now, if one of your students preparing for their black belt test, and if you don't have black belts, one of your advanced students that's preparing for some type of evaluation, what would be your hourly rate to teach them? If you were going to teach them personally, just them, you're just sitting there teaching them, what would you charge them? Most of us, are at minimum worth $80 an hour, maybe $100 an hour. Well, here's the horrible thing about bookkeeping. You're by yourself. You're not teaching anyone anything, and you're not being paid to do it. You're just sitting there wasting your time. So that's one thing that needs to be considered. The next question, what is the cost of making errors or missing deadlines? All right, we might say we've never done this, but we're probably lying to ourselves. At one point or another, we've all made an error, and at one point or another, we will miss a deadline or have missed a deadline, and those things are expensive. There's penalties involved with that, right? What's the result? The cost is generally equal or greater than $300 a month to do it ourselves. So let's talk about what Perfect Books is. This is the system we're going to show you really briefly today. To start off, I'm going to tell you what it isn't. Okay? This is not a replacement for QuickBooks or any other accounting software. This is not your full, best of breed accounting software. We're not attempting to replace these softwares. Okay? These softwares will run just about anything you can think of when it comes to QuickBooks, including your check registry and payroll and all kinds of great things. That's not what Perfect Books is. Also, It is not a replacement for your accountant or your accounting firm. Okay? We're not saying this system is going to completely nullify the need for an accountant. No, that's not true. What is it? It's an automated stage between you and either your accounting software or your accountant. Okay? It depends on the process that you prefer, but it's an automated stage. Think of it as like a buffer phase. All right? For those of you that are doing their own bookkeeping, it's going to eliminate both the hassle of needing to keep and organize all those paper records. Okay? One of my best friends in the industry, Sensei Nick, he has Ziploc bags of receipts in his basement all over the place. I asked him, what are those? He said, oh, I need these for my bookkeeping at the end of the year. I don't even want to get into the answer he gave me when I asked him how long it takes him to go through them. Right? But it's going to eliminate the need to store all that stuff, as well as the need to do all the bulk data entry that follows. And you're not going to make a lot of friends if you ask someone else to do that for you. Also, for those of you who hand it all over to their accountant, it's going to reduce the time they bill you for by a minimum of 75%. And you know that that hourly bill is not cheap. Okay, that's what Perfect Books is. It's a way to eliminate the redundant data entry and storage of all these paper records that typically costs you money and creates lots of opportunity for errors. How does it work? Okay, well, first let's talk about expenses. Any receipt you have two choices, okay? You scan it with a camera phone. Literally, you just take a picture of it. Or we can send you a prepaid envelope that you can mail in. In either case, the system will take all the details from that receipt, and I mean every single detail. Who was the vendor, meaning the person you spent the money with? What was it for? The pre-designed category that expense related to. And, of course, what was the total cost?